Hi, the MBA CT slot 1 paper has just got over. So what we'll discuss is the paper pattern and what could be the ideal strategy if you go and write in the next slots. So just to give you a brief, it was a very different paper, 200 question jumbled paper. Till now, whatever we have in the recent past have been all section wise paper. It used to be a long time back where it was a jumbled paper. So this jumbled paper has come back after a long period of time. So 200 question jumbled paper, very difficult to solve if you don't have a strategy in place. So first, let's try to understand the basic pattern of the paper because the type of questions is going to remain more or less similar in others. So if there are no DI questions in the first slot, there will be no DI question in the further slots. So you can use that to help to formulate your strategy if you're writing the paper in further slots. Start with verbal. I mean, around 15 questions of vocabulary. So ideally, you should solve these questions quickly. So idea is synonym antonym. Don't waste too much time on it. Either you know it or don't know it. Try to solve it as fast as possible and move forward. Two jumble para with single questions. Again, if you think jumble para is not a strong area, just mark and move forward. Don't waste time on any question that you feel takes time and you're weak at it. 3 to 4 passages of RCs. They were little inference based questions, so maybe will take time. So decide if you feel you're not strong at it, maybe you can keep in a second round. 2 to 3 questions sentence correction. Some critical reasoning questions, not very difficult, course of action, etc., which you can take up. So overall, if you look at it, could be solved. I mean, some of the vocabulary questions could be solved really quickly. You can really build speed out here. Again, I'm repeating the strategy generally should be anything that takes time should be solved in the second part. First part, solve whatever you can solve fast or whatever you're strong at. Right? So it's just generally giving you a brief about a type of question that have come in the examination. Okay. There are more type of questions, but this will give you a fair idea of the paper. Not too many grammar questions, but yes, this was a basic breakup in terms of the type of question that came as far as the verbal section is concerned. But understand this, the verbal section are not together. They were mixed in the entire paper. The whole paper was jumbled up. So like 5 questions max, 5 questions verbal, 5 questions logic, and so on. So very difficult to search for verbal questions and then solve. Okay, unless you exactly know where they are. Next, we come to logic. Puzzles, which normally had a very huge weightage, there were only 4 sets of puzzle this time, logic puzzles. They were not difficult, solvable. But one of the puzzles was very difficult, but otherwise the rest of the 3 were solvable. So linear arrangement with north south facing, floor, blood relation, matrix base. The matrix base was comparatively very simple. So 4 types of puzzles which were there. So maybe you can just practice a few type of matrix based questions, flow questions, and blood relations before you go for the exam, just to get feel of it. Okay, because you need to solve as much as possible to get crack the exam. And maybe if you have not done puzzles, could because there were one of puzzles which was very simple. Also, there were a lot of individual logic questions based on different parameters, blood relations, directions, etc. So you can, brush that up. There were no question input output, no inequalities. Syllogism also were easy questions. So not very difficult, quite easy questions. But no input output, no inequalities. The traditional CT type of question which normally come were completely missing in the examination. Okay. These were non-CT type questions mainly. Coming to quant, there were around 20 to 25 mathematics questions, but no graphs. Okay. One case state was there of around 3 questions. Okay. But no graph based or no pure DI questions. So no quadratic equation, no data comparison, no approximation that normally comes in the CT exam in the recent past have not come this time. Plus you have 3 to 4 geometry questions, 3 to 4 time and work questions, 2 questions equations. Okay. There was a question on log, simultaneous equations, also 5 questions in number series. So broadly, this would be the breakup of the quant section. Again, it was mixed in the whole paper. The quant was not together, it was mixed. So as and when you come across the quant section, you decide whether you want to solve or not. Quant was supposed to be comparatively simple. I mean, not very difficult, moderate cross. So if your fundamentals of quant are clear, then I don't think it is a problem in solving quant questions. So there were quite a few easy quant questions in the examination, which you could have attempted. Coming to abstract, less weightage, 10 to 15. Normally you have 25 questions. Past you had 30 questions. This time it was less, 10 to 15 questions. Very different from the normal CD type of questions. So one paper on paper cutting, and there were answers given in paper cutting. You have to find a question. Apart from that, there were normal snap-based abstract reasoning questions, but not the normal series question. What's the next figure or something on that? Very different type of question that was there. So maybe you have four figures and you have to find maybe one of the figure which was missing or something on that. So you have to find the pattern and then try to get the answer for the abstract reasoning. Overall paper strategy is first round solve maybe around 100 questions. That's what I would say. It differs from person to person. Could be less, could be more. But technically solve all question data doesn't take time. Like the vocabulary question which doesn't take time, solve fast. And questions that are easy, solve fast. So you have all finished the setters. But as in when you finish the first round, write down the question number of what you're going to solve the second round. For example, you feel that there's a puzzle question which may take time, but you want to solve it in the second round. Write down the question number and come back to those questions. But if you feel there's a RC question which you feel will take time and you don't know how to solve, you want to leave it, then leave it. Or maybe write down that you're going to leave these questions. The idea of writing down the question is so that you know exactly which question to come back to. Okay, you don't get confused with the question number you want to come back to. Else, in the second round, you'll end up wasting a lot of time searching for questions, which is not ideal at all. Okay, then come back in the second round, solve whatever questions you can. Ensure that in the last 5 minutes you mark all the answers, because if there's no negative marking, it makes sense to mark all the answers for whatever questions you have not marked. Be careful. Don't waste time on any question that take time. Try to go fast. If you feel that you've solved enough questions, then try moving further as such. Okay, very important. Okay, I knew about this whole paper pattern maybe yesterday when the MCA paper was released. Someone gave me a call and told me that there was a jumble paper in MCA and it could be the same in CET. I did have a session with my students yesterday. I didn't have put it on the YouTube because not sure it will be the same and didn't want to give stress to the students. So I had called my students and had an online session where we had talked about the paper strategy. So paper is a little different, but yes, if you have a proper strategy in place, it will definitely help you to so people are going the second, third, fourth slot. Please understand the type of question that comes and the number of questions that come. If possible, practice those type of questions a bit, okay, so that you get used to it, and then maybe have a strategy. That's very important. Have a proper strategy in place before you go for the exam. That is what is going to help you a lot. Hope that helps. All the best. Thank you.